Hi everyone, my name is Lisa Snow and welcome to A Conscious Earth. Today I wanted to share a story with you, and one that's dear to my heart actually, because this was a profound moment in my life for healing. Now, for a long time I have been on this quest to understand the human body, and the more rabbit holes I go down, the more I discover, the more I find out, and the more I just want to share with the rest of the world. And so it was about a year ago, probably just over a year ago now, that I actually discovered that I could stop myself from getting sick just by using breath work alone. And so I used to be a participant of yoga and Pilates, and at the beginning of particularly a yoga practice, we would do meditations with breath work. And for years, I would just go through the motions of breath work, not really understanding what it was all about. And I felt great at the end of it, but it didn't really click with me, and I didn't understand why. But one day, someone actually said to me, Lisa, you eat healthier than most people. Why is it that you still get sick so often? And that was like a knife through the heart when somebody asked me that, because when I dug really deep, I had been asking myself this same question, and I didn't know what the answer was. And that was when I went from a journey of nutritional medicine to discovering neuroscience, and all of a sudden the pieces began to come together. And so it was through my studies of neuroscience that I discovered the HeartMath Institute. Now, the HeartMath Institute have been around for quite a long time, and they also partner with Macquarie University here in Australia. And so HeartMath not only focus on the heart and what the heart is capable of in terms of the human body and our healing capacity, but they do a lot of study in breath work as well. And so I was starting to incorporate this breath work into my meditations, and then I started to realize that I was feeling all of these different sensations in my body that I didn't understand. I'd never really tapped into my body in this way before. And so as I started to get more curious about HeartMath and breathing, and by the way, I've never met anybody from the HeartMath Institute. I know a lot about them, and so I don't get paid for any of this. This is just my passion, talking about the HeartMath Institute, because it's been a modality that has worked to me, and I just thought I would share that with you here. However, coming back to what I was saying a moment ago, when I discovered the power of what the HeartMath Institute were teaching, I actually then went and bought myself something called an EM Wave 2, and it's a device that not only measures my heart rate variable, but it also has the ability with electrodes to measure the coherence between my heart and my brain. Like it's literally measuring that heart and mind connection. And I will do another post on this at another time, because what that actually shows is that when I upload the data onto a computer, I can actually see not only my breath rate, my heart rate, and the variability of everything going on, but it actually shows in wave patterns. It shows the coherence of the energy moving and the breath work between my heart and my brain. And that was a little bit of a digression there. But what's really interesting about that is that one particular day I was really feeling quite depleted. Now, for me, when I am depleted, just to give you a snapshot, there's a cascading of effects going on. And the first trigger is that I've probably been in some form of a fight and flight response, meaning that with adrenaline being on tap all the time in my particular body, it firstly shuts down my immune system, which also shuts down my cognitive ability to function properly. It then creates for me neurological fatigue, which sits really heavy here in my facial and sinus area. It then creates brain fog, and then when my adrenal system, and the adrenals are they sit on top of each kidney as well, and so when the adrenal system is just continuously firing all the time, eventually I begin to crash. And not only that, I deplete my glucose reserves as well, and glucose, fruit sugar, is what we need to fuel the brain. So it's a cascading effect, and it took me a lot of years to understand what was going on with my body, and my liver is very much involved with that as well. So with all of that going on, the liver becomes overburdened too. You can start to see how everything connects. And so when I started to realize that I was getting sensations through my fingers and through my toes and pulsating through my body just through breath work alone, I began to get really, really curious about more about my particular human body. And this one particular day when I was extremely exhausted, I had to pull everything out of my energy tank, because that evening I needed to be at the forefront of an event that I was a part of, and I didn't want to go. I was really exhausted. So thankfully I had about an hour to spare before I had to be at this event. And so what I did was I literally sat down for about 45 minutes to an hour in focused breathing. And when I say focused breathing, I was focusing on my heart area here as a focal point, and I would, with each breath, focus on the expansion of the chest and the fall of the chest. And you can do this sitting down, you can do it lying, you can do it however you like. But what I realized is that the more I was able to expand my breath with each breath that I took, I would also I would not only expand the ribs and the lungs and feel them stretching just like a muscle if you were to go to the gym, but the more energy I was feeling moving through my system. So I was getting some mega doses of oxygen moving through my fingers, through my toes. I could feel the pulsating of my heart. I was feeling other areas of my body pulsating as well. And the more curious I became about this, the more I was tapping into my body, feeling what was going on. And it was a few days later that I realized that I had actually stopped myself from getting sick, because I knew my pattern was every few weeks when I would have this crash, I would get sick. And I was just in this cycle that went around and around and around and around. And eventually I got to the point that I was like, I have to break this cycle. And when I did this exercise time and time again, I realized that I actually have the ability to stop myself from getting sick. And the reason for that is because when we've got viral load, pathogens, toxic microorganisms running around in our body, neuroscience will call that a lowering of frequency within the body. These toxic microorganisms, they're a lowering of frequency. But when you put in some breath, some oxygenated breath work, that's an elevation of frequency in the body. And things in our bodies that are that lowering of frequency cannot survive in a high frequency environment. And so it knocks out the viral load, or it reduces the viral load as well. But what also happens in that moment of deep breathing as well, it switches back on the nervous system again, and something called the parasympathetic nervous system. So we've got quite a few different types of nervous systems in the body, but quite often our parasympathetic nervous system is shut down when we go into that fight and flight response. And so this was a really big aha moment for me, and one that I'm so passionate to share about, because quite often on a daily basis, I may have to say to my kids, I'm feeling rather exhausted right now. I need to go and lie down, and I need to go and do some focused breathing work. And my kids understand that mum needs a bit of time. And it's interesting, because as I sit here and share this story, once upon a time, I used to think that I had to be completely healed to be able to share my story. What I now do differently is I actually own the fact that this is a part of my life, that neurological fatigue is a part of my life, anxiety is a part of my life, stress is a part of my life. Do I anticipate that these things are going to be with me forever? I'm hoping not. But for now, they are a part of my life, and thankfully I have got tools to manage those things. A lot of other people don't, and so just by doing some focused work on deep breathing and taking it gently, you don't need to overstretch the nervous system or exacerbate anything, but it's just feeling into the body, and that can be enough to change so many things with how the body is operating. So this is literally just a snapshot of what breath work can actually do. At some stage I will upload a video in terms of what the HeartMath Institute does and the EM Wave 2 device that I have. I haven't done that video yet, but I will do it soon. But for now, I leave you with this. I hope there was a few light bulb moments that possibly happened for you, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye for now.